Yeah, I was like, what's that? Alexa, play Ed Sheeran.
What?
Ed Sheeran just plays the song at the end of Desolation of Smaug. Or as soon as the credits roll, you're just like, get this shit off.
No, I 100%. Like, I just watched 3 hours of the Desolation of Smaug.
Holy fuck.
So I was just instantly like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I did the same thing with the Batman. I didn't even stick around to see if there was any after credit scene. Like, the second those title scrolls rolled, I was gone.
So would you say that you liked the Desolation of Smaug and the Batman about the same?
I would say that I liked the Batman just maybe a hair more.
Hey everybody, welcome to Screen Weens. This is episode 135. I'm London.
I'm Thomas.
That guy.
Hello.
We're talking about Peter Jackson's The Hobbit Trilogy.
I legit thought you were going to say Peter Griffin's there for a second.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that. We'll be opening some cool stuff. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about the rest of our week.
Yes.
Yeah, Thomas, what's been up?
Not a whole lot. Towards the start of my week, I watched a couple not podcast movies. Yeah, me and one of my coworkers at work, we were talking about, I don't remember what led us onto it, but eventually, oh god, what's it called? Ratatouille? That off-brand
Yeah.
Ratatouille ripoff. We got talking about that, so we ended up just watching it when it got real slow at work. And then after that, we were like, well, we got time for another one. So we watched
Chopkick Panda?
No. We watched The Little Panda Fighter, which is the 3D one. I think Chopkick Panda is 2D. It's just got a 3D poster.
So I was pretty close, though.
Yes. So we watched those two. And
were they pretty good?
You know, they kept me entertained. Like, I was expecting them to be like slogs, like, oh my god, why am I watching this? But it actually wasn't quite like that. The bad 3D really just helped keep me hooked. So, yeah. And they're both like an hour long, so it's like, yeah, whatever. So yeah. I might watch 2 more of those later this week. Maybe. Probably not. But they're short and kind of funny, so. But yeah, so I watched those, and I read Batman Venom, because I don't know
where they kiss.
No, that's the one where like Batman gets addicted to like a strength enhancing drug.
Mm-hmm. Was it good?
No, it fucking sucked. Which, because like very baby spoiler for the Batman. There's a scene where he, like, injects what I assume is venom into himself in a scene. And it's, like, one scene in the movie. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I had always heard about the Venom storyline. And when I was a kid, I thought it sounded dumb. But as an adult, I'm like, actually, I could see Batman doing that. In, like, one of his darker stages. And that'd be, like, a really interesting story. But it's, like, the most, like, surface level, like, just, it's dumb. It's not good. And it's like, man, this could have been so fucking interesting. Like, exploring drug addiction through, like, Batman, and, but, like, it literally just becomes, like, by the end of it, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna, spoiler alert for Venom. If any of you want to read that storyline, skip like 30 seconds. He literally just locks himself in like the Batcave for a month, and then he like goes and fights like a big bad guy who is also on the Venom, and it's just like
cool.
Yeah, it's like great. Really found what I was looking for here. So I hope that they explore that storyline in the next movie, since they introduced it. But we'll see. Yeah. And then I watched the fucking Hobbit Trilogy.
Yep.
And yeah, that's been my week. How about yours?
New Kirby launched today, so I've been playing that for a couple hours because I just fucking love Kirby. I don't buy games at launch usually anymore. I don't buy video games very much anymore, but Kirby, I'm like, fuck yes, Kirby's like my favorite video game character. I'm like, I gotta play Kirby, and it's fantastic. It's fantastic. He has this new mode called Mouthful Mode. Yeah. He can be a car.
Oh, nice.
Or like a vending machine. Or a staircase. You can just do a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
This is like, people were like, Super Mario Odyssey for people who love Mario, or Breath of the Wild for people who love Zelda. This is my game of those, Because I'm like, I fucking love Kirby!
Yeah.
So that's been good. It's been helping to drown out the bad taste of the Hobbit Trilogy. I mean, what? We'll get to that.
Bad taste?
Bad taste.
Of the Hobbit?
No, I meant bad... I had just watched Bad Taste by Peter Jackson.
Oh, yeah!
I did not. I wish I did. It's probably good.
I haven't seen Bad Taste either.
You've seen the poster. It looks funny.
I've seen clips.
I watched a Lego Batman movie, like one of the made-for-TV ones.
Oh, I thought you meant the Lego Batman.
That movie's good, though. I watched one called Lego Batman Family Matters. It has a bunch of, like, the Bat family and stuff, Red Hood. In it? It's actually pretty fun. No, Steve Urkel's not in it. They retcon what happens to Red Hood in it, though. Like, because they're like, we can't have him die in this children's movie, and I think that's dumb. I don't think you should treat kids like that. Like, kids can have a little death in their movies. Instead, Red Hood runs away because Batman won't let him play video games.
Oh, man.
However, I still think that movie treats, like, the way that Batman deals with loss pretty well, and, like, that movie has a better understanding of Batman as a character than most of the live-action Batman films.
Yeah.
So that's pretty funny. Like, it's cute enough. I like the Lego format. Like, Lego comedy, I think it's fine. Like, it was a good enough watch, I guess. I watched a Scooby-Doo. They did, like a made-for-TV, 40-minute, anniversary thing last year. I had heard it sucked, and it did. It was, live action, but the characters were animated, and they were like, their characters were actors in it that had played the roles. Like, Fred Jones is the guy. It was like this, it's meta.
Yeah, that reminds me of that one special that they did, right when Scooby-Doo was blowing up in, the 70s.
What, Scooby-Doo Goes Hollywood? It's like the same thing.
Yeah.
Which that one's also not very good.
Yeah,
but this one's interspliced with actual interviews with people, and all those interviews are good. They're I'm I wish there was just interviews. I would love to just watch an hour-long documentary on Scooby-Doo. And it's especially bad because they can't even keep their own formula right, because Fred Jones is a character and he's like, I play myself. But then they just have interviews with Frank Welker interspliced saying that he voices Fred. And I'm like, if you're going to have some stupid gimmick, at least stick to your stupid gimmick.
Right.
So yeah, that was just kind of bad. Pretty rough. But I needed some Scooby-Doo in my life. So
that's fair.
I should have just watched, because that's also the only Scooby-Doo thing I haven't watched that's on Letterboxd right now, because I keep up with Scooby-Doo. I'm like, I guess I gotta watch this.
Yeah,
but it was pretty rough. And I think the next Scooby-Doo product that releases that isn't just a show, I think it's a holiday special for fucking Scoob. And I'm like, fuck, I hated Scoob.
Yeah, well, maybe it'll be better than Scoob.
Maybe. That's pretty much all I watched. I watched a Sonic short film, but that was and I've just been playing games. I mean, 3 of my days were completely taken up with the fucking Hobbit.
Yeah.
And just been working a lot, but playing board games, same old, same old. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I guess let's just dive into it. Do you want to do that first, or do you want to do that last?
I say...
Which movie did it come out for? Was it the final one, or was it the first one?
Okay. The first one.
So let's just do it now.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So for those, let's explain it. Sorry, Philip, audio listener. for that, and also the fact that you won't be able to see any of these.
And also that this crinkling probably isn't great.
Yeah. So what I have here...
I'll describe them, don't worry.
...is a bunch of Denny's exclusive movie trading cards for The Hobbit.
An unexpected journey.
Yes. Let me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. I opened 10 packs because this was a 60 pack when I bought it. So I know a little of what's in here. There's like, I think 12 or 9, some arbitrary number of cards that are pre-designed, but there are like 3 special cards, and I haven't been able to find any. I'm hoping in this 50 cards that I have here that we can
just
at least
one
get
card
one.
per pack.
So there's technically like, I think 3 cards in here, but one of them's just an advertisement card for other cards. So you get 2 unique cards per pack.
Okay.
So I guess let me reorganize the pile of it here.
All right. Let's get a close up on this. It's exceptionally cool packaging. Denny's The Hobbit.
In theaters December 14th. You can go to www.thehobbit.com.
These are almost 10 years old.
Oh.
I'm going to open one.
This is the same year that Year 4th? Or wait. 2014? Or 2012?
2012.
That's the year I started reading One Piece. Wow. Okay. Do you think these free beverages still work? No, offer ends 2013.
Fuck.
I got Radagast the Brown and Gandalf the Grey.
That's one of the 2 limited edition cards!
No, it's a specific... Yeah, I got.
Oh, you got the shitty one. Okay.
I got shit Gandalf.
I got Galadriel and everyone's favorite Thorin Oakenshield.
Oh,
hell yeah! We're gonna resell these bad boys. I've played TCGs for a long time, and I've never understood pack opening videos. But now I think I get it. Now that this product, we can't get.
Keeley.
Holy shit, I got 4 in this one.
You did?
Well, I got 3. Hell yeah, one was stuck. The advertisement was stuck, so I got Keeley as well.
All right.
And I got, what was your other one?
Galadriel.
I got Ballin and the boy Bilbo Baggins.
All right. The Hobbit. I'm just gonna.
Let's just talk about The Hobbit. An Unexpected Journey. We watched, I think both of us, did you watch the extended cut for all 3?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, we watched the extended cuts. Feely?
Yep, Feely.
I got Shitty Gandalf and I got Joe Boyle, also known as Dwalin. So, Hobbit Unexpected Journey, it takes 3 hours for Bilbo to fucking wake up and walk into the woods. Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay, so we start off with a framing device set right before Fellowship of the Ring. It's like right before Bilbo's 11th birthday party. And he's basically writing a book, and Frodo's like, oh, when's Gandalf gonna get here? And that goes on for, I swear, goddamn, like 20 minutes.
Which, I'm gonna be honest, though, favorite part of the movie. Because I'm just like, look, it's old Bilbo and it's Elijah Wood, and it reminds me of a better movie.
Yeah. Bilbo and Feely. Anyway, fucking...
Just getting come on, man.
That's fair.
Also, why are there only 12? There's fucking 14. There's 14 in their party. Why wouldn't there be 14?
Yeah, you don't even get all the dwarfs.
Do we not? I bet, is Beaufort not in here? I haven't seen him.
Probably not.
Yeah!
Oh!
Hell yeah!
Got one of the rare
Got
ones.
Gandalf the Grey, limited edition.
Meanwhile, I got Balin and Thor Oakenshield over here.
So eventually it goes flashback 60 years earlier. Bilbo's sitting on the bench smoking some weed.
And then
Gandalf shows up.
and Bilbo tells him good morning.
He's like, is it a good morning? Are you wishing me a good morning? Or are you saying it's a good morning? Or are you saying that no matter what you'll have a good morning? Or are you simply saying it is a morning to be good on? And I'm like, Gandalf, what the fuck are you saying, dude?
Yeah. Fucking Gandalf, when he's not involved in like world-ending conflicts, is just kind of a shit poster.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of a sick fuck, but that's what's so great about
They
him.
talk for a bit. Bilbo does not recognize him. But eventually he's like, yo, I got fucking Gollum. No, he doesn't say that. I got Gollum on my card. But eventually he's like, do you not remember me? I'm Gandalf the Grey. And he's like, oh, the old wizard. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I
got 2 Joe Boyles.
I think you need to go on an adventure. And he's like, no. And he's like, don't worry, I'll invite everyone. And he's like, please don't do that. And he runs into his house and Gandalf puts a magic spell on his house.
No, he literally just goes up and carves a fucking symbol into his door.
Yeah, but it's like a magic symbol. It's like a magic glowy symbol.
Yeah.
So then the Hobbit, he fucking, hangs out, and then that night all the dwarves show up.
Yep.
All the dwarves show up. They sing some songs.
They eat all of his food.
They eat all his food. They say, that's what Bilbo Baggins hates.
Yeah, they do his dishes.
They do the dishes, and then they're like, hey, you should come with us. And he's like, no. And he goes to sleep, and he wakes up, and they're all gone, and he has a realization. He's like, maybe I do want to go on an adventure. And then there's the best scene in the movie where he's like running and he's like, I'm late already. He's like, late to what? He's like, I'm going on an adventure. Yeah. And then you cut to all his friends dying. No. So yeah, he goes on his adventure and, a bunch of shit happens. Like the trolls show up.
They deal with the trolls. Then they go to fucking Rivendell.
Where they bathe naked in the fountain.
Yeah. And then fucking, what's it called? They find that... So basically, Gandalf was left with a key and a map that they're using as like the basis for their adventure, and they take it there and they find out.
We got both.
Oh, nice! Why do you keep opening all the rare ones? I keep getting fucking shit pile over here.
Hell yeah, motherfucker. This has got to be a lot of money.
Maybe one day. You never know.
Maybe one day. I'm gonna go get Martin Freeman to sign this.
Fucking. There's also not for Denny's. I know that there's like Return of the King trading cards that came out when that movie did.
I would be less surprised if those were worth money. Not just because they're 20 years old now, but also because people like that movie. I guess I'm actually surprised that a lot of people like all 3 of these movies.
Yeah.
And more power to them. Hinata really likes this movie.
That's fine.
I don't see it, but I
don't get it, but I respect it.
Yeah. She also was obsessed with Martin Freeman when this movie came out. She was really into Sherlock at the time, which, so was I. And then I went to watch these movies, and I was like, the first one, I'm like, hey, this was okay. And the second two, I'm like, interesting. That was sure a movie. So they go to Rivendell, they figure out that, we have to go on Durin's Day, which is like the last day of autumn, or the first day of some day in autumn, where the light will hit the wall correctly and reveal the hidden door. So they're like, we gotta fucking book it then. So they start booking it, and they fight some spiders. No, that's in the second one. The fuck else happens in this movie? They go to the orc.
Basically, they go down Goblin Town, and then fucking Bilbo falls down into the depths where he meets Gollum and has his little riddle battle. And then...
What's in my pocket?
Yeah, it's like, that's not a fucking riddle, dude. But it works. And then... fucking, what's it called? And yeah, he just fucking... puts on the ring, sneaks out. As soon as he realizes it makes him invisible. There's one scene that I really like from this segment. I guess something we can do is just talk about like the little moments we liked. Because I'm sure there's probably quite a few of those sprinkled. Because even in the worst one, I was like, all right, there's like a moment here.
Yeah. I guess let's finish because we're almost to the end of this movie.
Yeah.
So let's finish that and then we'll track back, go back. So he gets away from Gollum and they're like, oh, the movie's over. And it's like, oh no, the trilogy only character, Azog the Defiler, he showed up. Oh no. And they have a really long fight with him, and then the Eagles show up. Mm-hmm. And that'll happen like 8 times in this trilogy.
Yeah, the Eagles, like,
holy
fucking, this trilogy does not make the case for the Eagles not just taking their ring to Mordor. Very convincing, because, like, apparently, according to most people, like, the Eagles typically don't get involved in a whole lot of, like, worldly affairs. Like, they're...
Or, like... the argument is either like they don't get involved with worldly affairs, or they needed to do a stealth mission to get to Mordor because they have like all this anti-air and they have this like these giant legions. But it's just like, oh, the Eagles show up in this and they just wreck everyone, no matter what. They're winning, no matter what. They're fine. They will get into any human conflict if Gandalf asks them to.
Yes,
and it's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's just like, okay, it's like Boromir died. But, anyway. And Frodo fucking lost his innocence.
Yeah, so then the movie ends with Smaug's eye opening. Yes. Smaug's a character you'll see in these 9 hours of movies for about 25 minutes.
Yep. So, yeah, I don't even know if we explained the crux of what their journey's about.
Thorin Oakenshield's grandpa went crazy because he had the ring on, and he was very greedy because of it. And then the Smaug dragon came because there was a lot of gold. Like a lot of gold.
Yes.
In his basement of gold.
Mm-hmm. So he's basically just like, yeah, I'm going to take this.
So he just sleeps there.
Yeah, and so years later, Thorin Oakenshield's dad, Thrain, is missing. And he's just like, nobody knows where he is. And then, he's basically like, all right, well, I'm going to go be king of the mountain again. And they're going to go try to steal the heart of the mountain, the Harken Stone. They're gonna go try to steal the Harken Stone from the dragon. But, so they need a burglar, and that's who Bilbo is. He's Gandalf's choice for a burglar. And it's pretty much an unexpected journey.
And, things I liked.
So, I like the scene where Bilbo is leaving and he's like thinking about killing Gollum, and then he kind of sees how sad Gollum looks, and he's just like, all right.
Gandalf had earlier been like, courage is knowing when not to kill her, like using a sword is knowing when not to use it.
Yep.
Some shit. I actually think most of the scenes with Gollum are pretty good. That riddle battle's pretty fun. Like, I like Martin Freeman as Bilbo. I think that's pretty good casting. Like, I like him as Bilbo. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily think anyone in this movie is the problem with it.
No, it's definitely like something that went wrong in just the overall production, because
oh, hell yeah. You kind of look like Bilbo Baggins.
Yeah, no, I got told I had massive Hobbit vibes all the time in high school.
That's because you're short.
I'm short.
They were making fun of your height.
Short, big, hairy feet. Fucking...
Why is it just me, or do the Hobbit feet in this look exponentially grosser and worse than in the Lord of the Rings movies? Like, they seem bigger, and they also seem faker in this.
Yeah, probably because everything seems bigger and faker in this.
Yeah. Like, there's that famous clip of Ian McKellen just crying in front of a green screen being like, this is not why I started acting or whatever. I was like, Jesus.
Yeah,
and like
every fucking like shot that they get of Peter Jackson, he's just got the fucking mile-long stare. And it's just like, I feel bad because for those who don't know the behind the scenes, Guillermo del Toro was originally supposed to direct these movies. There was only supposed to be 2 of them, but studios were pushing for a 3rd installment so they could make more money because there was like 5 different producers. And then what ended up happening is, so Guillermo just got too bogged down by like all the fucking like expansions and creative choices they were trying to thrust upon him. And so he was just like, all right, I'm walking away. And Peter Jackson, he knew he had to step in and direct, or else they weren't going to film in New Zealand. And he knew that it was good for their economy if he did. But, a lot of shit happened to get these movies filmed in New Zealand, including changing labor laws. So basically, they hired New Zealanders for the same type of jobs that like you would get paid for shit tons over here, but for like less
pennies.
Yeah, for much less because they were New Zealanders. And it's like, well, that is fucked up. Not a fan.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like it was literally like a whole thing. Like there were protests, like they changed like labor laws. The fucking like New Zealand president had like meetings with like Warner Brothers executives, and it was like treated like the biggest shit apparently. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like the behind the scenes of the Lord of the Rings trilogy just seems so like magical and just like, wow. And then like the Hobbit trilogy is just like,
oh, this is what hell feels like.
Yes. And it's so sad. And I think that, hell, even stretching these movies into a trilogy, it could have resulted in some decent stuff. I think had they maybe given some of the dwarves some more development and character.
Yeah, by the end of it, it's like, oh, look,
Oin
Oin and Gloin. I remember their names. They don't fucking do anything.
It's like
I actually am not that big of an opponent of the weird Toriel Keeley, like, love thing. I'm like, that's fine.
It's whatever. I'm not
like,
a fan.
Yeah, I don't think it's handled very well, but I'm like, at least he has a little bit of character because of it.
Yeah. Fucking...
That's not even in this movie yet, though.
Yeah. Why does it hurt so much?
I like that's what Bilbo Baggins said. I like that song in this one. I like this one. I actually like all the songs in this. Like it like breaks up the just monotony of the rest of the movie for me. I'm like, this is fun. Like I'm like, this is a musical. There's like 8 songs in this movie. There's like quite a bit in this. And then there's 0 in the other 2.
Yeah.
There's none. I'm like, what the fuck?
Probably because I think Guillermo del Toro was planning on doing a more whimsical take on, like, Middle Earth.
That's literally what The Hobbit should be, too.
Yeah, like, that's what The Hobbit is.
It's literally a children's book.
Mm-hmm. It's very, like, episode of the week, kind of, with the chapters, because it's like, oh yeah, this chapter they fight the trolls. Oh, this chapter they do this. They like fight the goblins, yada yada. But yeah, converting that into a trilogy is like not very good, especially when they stretch the very tail end of it into a whole fucking movie. People think Return of the King has the overstretched ending. That's like a segment of a long movie. They literally do that, but with a whole fucking movie in this one, and it's just perplexing.
There's, I started to watch. Is that another? Do you have 2 Bilbos over there?
I do have 2 Bilbos.
We have 3 Bilbos, 1 Gandalf.
God damn it. Give me one Gandalf. So
Is that the final pack?
This is the final pack. Oh, moment of truth. It's Keely and shit Bilbo. Alright, should we go through now and sort them and do ratios for the 50 cards we opened?
So, yeah, that's another reason I didn't watch the Tolkien edit, because I looked through it. I started watching it. I was 20 minutes in. I'm like, they just left the Shire. And I'm like, okay, so I just want to see how much the film... The last hour and a half is still the Battle of Five Armies. They only cut it down by like an hour. I'm like, you only need like 20 minutes of this fucking movie.
Probably because, like, if I remember correctly in the book, it's literally like Bilbo gets hit in the head. He's like, look, the eagles! And then a rock falls on his fucking head and he wakes up and he's like, oh, it's over. So I can see with how the movie decided to structure it why that would be like a little hard to do. But yeah, it's just like...
But still, I was like, I'm not going to watch 4 hours of movies I don't enjoy.
Yeah, that's...
I think this movie in general is okay. I think it could have been fun if it was like an hour and 20 minutes, I think. Like, that's about what I think like, there's good stuff for about an hour and 20 minutes of it. And then the rest is like, it's not even that just like there are unneeded scenes, which there are, but it's also that like, oh, every scene in this, even in the good ones, are just dragged out.
Yeah.
They're just so long. And they're just saying the same exact shit over and over again.
It's how I feel when I watch the One Piece anime, except at least the One Piece anime is like...
fun to look at.
At least it's like One Piece. Like, maybe if it were Lord of the Rings being stretched out like that, I would mind less. Mm-hmm. But like, because it's The Hobbit, it's just like... oh my god.
And if they don't, like, yeah, if they did something with this time, if they gave more character to the dwarves, I'd be fine with it. But by the end of it, it's like, oh, who do you care about? Or who do you even know anything about? It's Dwalin, Balin, Keely, Feely, and Thorin.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I want to know more about Ori. He looks silly. Yeah. I like Ori. I like Beaufort. Beaufort has some interesting moments. I like Beaufort quite a bit.
Is Beaufort the big one?
Beaufort's the one with the funny hat.
Oh.
I like Beaufort. He's always the one that's like helping. Like, he's like, you don't have to go. You're one of us. Like, in this movie, he's like, you don't have to go. And he's like, you don't understand. I have a home, unlike you dwarves. And he's like, oh. And he's like, no, you're right. But I like Beaufort in this. And he also has a pretty, I'm just going to say it now, I fucking hate Battle of Five Armies. I fucking hated it.
You're scaring me.
But I do like the part where Beaufort's like, you gotta leave, man. Or he's just like, I'll see you in the morning. And Beaufort's just like, goodbye. He's like, knows he's leaving.
Yeah.
So it's just like...
yeah, he was pretty good.
Yeah.
I'd say, like, my favorite between the dwarves was probably him or Balin. Those are the two I was like, I like these two.
And then it's just like, oh, Oin and Gloin, what do? I think Gloin's the one that's like, do you want some tea?
Yeah. It's just like...
Bombert's like, oh, he's big.
Mm-hmm.
Biffer is, oh, he has an axe in his head.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can even name them all. Thorin, Dwalin, and Balin. That's three.
I was like, what?
Keely and Feely. Nori, Dory, and Ori. Oin and Gloin. I'm missing... 3? Was it 12 or 13 dwarves?
I think it's 13 dwarves, and their party's 14 with Bilbo.
I can remember if 14 was including Gandalf or not. And Biffer and Beaufort.
Thorin.
Thorin was the first one I said.
Oh, he was?
I think so. Thorin, Dwalin, Balin, Oin, Gloin, Keely, Feely, Ori, Nori, and Dory, Biffer and Beaufort. Bomber. There we go. I did it. I did it.
I definitely could not.
I fucking did it.
Everybody who listens to this show knows how bad I am with fucking names, especially fucking made up dwarf names that all sound exactly the same.
Yeah. I think this movie has some parts to it. I think adding Azog the Defiler is the worst, just terrible, because every scene he's in is completely unneeded. I really don't like the end of this movie because it has a good ending point where they're like, oh, we're back. And he's like, I came back. I know you don't trust me, but I'm here. And it just ended right there.
Yeah, I also think it's a fucking terrible idea to kill any of the character tension that existed between Bilbo and Thorin at the end of the first film. Because it's like
the sexual tension? No, that stays.
That stays. I mean, because Thorin's just mean and surly about it. He's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then at the end of this movie, he's like, you're the best goddamn thing to ever fucking happen.
I've never been so wrong in my life.
And it's just like...
And I mean, that's a cute little scene, but it doesn't work in the grand scheme of this trilogy.
I think maybe if he had, warmed up maybe, a smidge and, maybe, gave, a head nod or something, that would have been cool. But don't blow your full load. Yeah,
because then in this whole second movie, they have no fucking clue what to do with their relationship.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, we're on good terms, because you need to have that kind of character dynamics in the third one so that you can have them kind of break up or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it just does. So it's just second movie. It's like, well, I don't know what to do. Just forget about them. Forget about their character dynamics.
Yep.
But yeah, I think this movie's okay overall. I think it looks. I think it looks really bad most of the time. I think it looks the best of the three.
Yes,
but,
I agree.
Most of it looks incredibly fake. There is so much fucking CG in this movie, and most of it is worse than any of the Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah, it's because he had no fucking prep time.
Yeah. But even the end scene with the eagles look significantly worse than they do in the Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah. But it gets worse from here, especially with the CGI.
Yeah,
the gold scene.
The Smaug looks decent.
Yeah,
because they literally put every part of the budget in the Smaug. But the gold, that looks fucking awful. So yeah, I think you would give this movie a 5.
Yeah. I think you'd. I don't know if you'd give it a 5 or a 6. I could see you giving it a 6 because it's Middle Earth and it's your jam and you're nicer than I am. But I could also see you giving it a 5. I think you're going to give it a 6, though.
I give it a 5.
God damn.
I originally had this movie as a 6 because I'm like, yeah, it was good enough. It was not good enough, actually. I am too nice, though. This movie, I don't even know if this movie deserves a 5, but...
I'd say
I think I do have some. At least going into this one, I think I had so much goodwill from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I'm like, that's the best fucking trilogy on earth. This.
Yeah.
So I was riding high for the first hour and a half, and then I'm like, we're halfway through this movie.
Yeah, it's so long.
So the Desolation of Smaug. This is worse.
Yeah, so the things that happen in this one.
There is a barrel scene.
There's a bear scene. There is... Yeah, so basically they fucking...
They walk across the woods for 3 hours.
Yeah, and then they start to trip out and get lost, and they'll abandon the path, and then Bilbo climbs up to the top of a tree, and he's just like...
And then the spiders attack, and then Bilbo frees them from the spiders, and then the elves show up, and they get imprisoned by the elves, and then they escape in the barrels, and there's a barrel scene for 50 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then they fucking get on a boat.
Point. So, when they're with the wood elves, this is when we start our... love triangle.
This is when Legolas shows up and he looks 50 years old.
Yeah,
the makeup, whatever they did to him, I looked up pictures of Orlando Bloom at this time. He looked fine. Yes, he looked older, but if they had just put him in the costume, he would have looked fine.
I'd say everybody in this trilogy looks older except for Elijah Wood.
Yeah, Elijah Wood looks like he hasn't fucking
he looks
aged.
the same. And the actor who plays Galadriel.
Kate Blanchett?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever the way Saruman's beard in this is like a big bush this time. Instead, it's like a big bushy thing. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
What's he doing here?
He's probably like, I'll do this.
I actually don't. I think Hugo Weaving looks fine in this as well. At least to me. I'm like, Elrond looks fine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he looks pretty close.
And maybe it's just because the last time I saw him, he looked like a mummy because it was at the end of Return of the King. But I think old Bilbo still looks fine at the beginning of the movie, like at the beginning of the first movie in the framing device.
Yeah, he looks generally about the same too. I'd have to I'm sure if I fucking played his scenes from The Hobbit and then put it up next to Fellowship, I'm sure I'd probably notice the difference. But for the most part, he looks pretty good.
Oh, you got all the Thorins, I see. Because I went through my whole stack. I'm like, I had one Thorin.
Yeah. I was light on Dwalin, though.
I got 3 Dwalin.
I got also 3 Dwalin.
All right, let's real quick. We're gonna take a brief break from this Desolation of Smaug talk. We're gonna say how many we got of each.
Yeah.
Keeley, we got 9 Keeleys in the 101 cards because we had that extra card. Let's go to his brother, Feely. 10. Also, I was very upset that I never picked up a pack with both Keeley and Feely in it. I will be writing to Dennis.
I did.
Oh, you did?
I got one.
Oh, you didn't. That's fine.
I didn't announce it because I stopped announcing them after a certain point, but I did get one with the pair together.
8 Dwalins. Let's go to his brother, who looks like an ancient mummy, Dwalin. 8 Ballins. Let's jump over to good old Bilbo Baggins.
You mean dildo Baggins?
9 Bilbo Baggins. Bam. We're just gonna have 8, 9, or 10 of all of these. It's not like they don't have random. It's just
yeah.
9 Golems.
Wow. Radagast the Brown here.
9 Gandalf the Greys. 11 Radagast the Brown.
Is that the highest?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
8 Galadriels. 7 Thorins. He's the rare one. And we had 3 of the limited Bilbos.
Yes.
And 1 Gandalf from Denny's.
Should I buy another 60 pack and see if we can get another Gandalf?
How much did you pay for them?
I want to say it was like $12. It was not expensive.
Okay. $50, so
$50. No.
I still think we should try to redeem these coupons.
I'll be like, look, I know these are expired, but what if I gave you 100 of them?
I should just see. I should just be like, hey, this says 20% off entire guest check.
Just cover the part that says...
Let me see if there's anything on here that aren't on the menu anymore. Do they still have pancake puppies? I don't know what that is.
I don't think so. I was going to say, let's count these, but then I realized there's going to be 50 of them.
Yeah, so Desolation... They run away from the Toriel introduced. She's an elf. She likes Keeley. Keeley likes her. That's it. That's all the romance they get. They literally just say they like them. Thomas is doing something.
Organizing. Cards.
Okay. Yeah, so they run away. They get to the boat with Bard the Bowman, whatever he is. He takes them into Lake Town. In Lake Town, they fuck around for a while. Keely got hurt.
Oh, did you get these?
Nope, didn't see those. Fuck me.
Oops.
Hidden.
Extra stats. Let's see. Any more Thorin? No.
Was that another Dwalin?
I've got a Dwalin, I've got a Ballin, I've got a shit Gandalf, I've got a Keely, and a shit Bilbo.
Holy fuck. We should make a game.
Like, I honestly thought these were going to be, like, when I got them, I didn't even think they were going to be movie cards. I was like, oh, these are going to be, like Gandalf is going to have, like, stats and an HP. That sort of a thing. I was like, wait a minute.
But they get to Lake Town, they fuck around, and then they fucking go to the mountain. And they fight Smaug.
Yep.
Bilbo hides, he talks to Benedict Cumberbatch. He steals the Arkenstone and hides it. Mm-hmm. And then they attack Smaug, and Smaug
he gets
flies off, covers in molten gold, and then flies out, and he's like, I'm gonna go kill all of Lake Town because of you. Then the movie ends.
Any scenes you like from this one? I can think of one.
Any scenes that I like? I think the barrel riding scene is fun in concept, and I think it's so aggressively bad that it's pretty fun.
I remember liking it in the book. It's less... I don't remember there being, like, a fight as much as, like we're in barrels on the rapids! And that's kind of the fight. That's fun.
And then Bomber, he, like, breaks out of his barrel, but he's still in the barrel, and he starts spinning around. That's kind of fun. Legolas skates down things, like, 5 times in this movie. He's, like... I'm actually surprised they got Orlando Bloom for this movie, because he's just CG, like, 98% of the time.
Yeah.
So I like the barrel scene because it's bad. I think there's a couple times when, like, there's some interesting interactions between Bilbo and, like, one of the dwarfs. But it's more, like, passing. And I like Luke Evans as Bard.
Yeah.
I think he's, I think that's pretty good casting, and in a better movie, I'd be like, he's great.
And they give him more characterization in this than he has.
He just kind of shows up and shoots the fucking dragon down.
Yeah.
Which I guess I can appreciate that part of this movie. I'm like, if you're gonna make a fucking Desolation of Smaug movie, you might as well give him some character.
Yeah, the guy who kills the dragon. It's like, yeah, that's totally fine. It's all really one note, but it works.
Yeah.
The scene I really like, I don't know if I'd say I really like it. The scene I like, the one that stood out to me, is I like the scene where he drops the ring when he's fighting the spiders, and it, like, goes under, and then he, like...
He goes into a rage as soon as he sees, like, a baby spider or whatever even close to it.
Yeah, and he kills it, and then he feels bad afterwards, but then just keeps on trucking. I like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like that one. I'd forgotten about this because this movie's like 5 hours long.
I took note of, like, the 2.5 things I liked from this trilogy. I was like, I like that scene. And it's usually something involving the ring. So it's like, of course. But yeah, so... Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think some of the dialogue that Smaug has with Bilbo is, like, interesting. I like the part where he's like, I'm thinking about just letting him take the Arkenstone just to see Thorin fall because of it. I'm like, that's fun, I guess. Mm-hmm. I do think the dragon looks pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say I generally like the Smaug stuff.
Yeah.
It's short in the total span of the movie, but, like, that was the one point. Because, like, when I watched the Lord of the Rings movies, I was sucked in. I was, like, 100% invested. But when I was watching these movies, I wasn't. I was like groaning the whole time. I wasn't like in it, and I was just like, when is it going to end? But that Smaug scene was like the one time where I actually got kind of sucked into the movie. So,
the
whole trilogy.
The second half of this movie, I was drunk. So that probably helped my enjoyment of the movie a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like... Oh yeah, they see Beorn.
Mm-hmm.
Forgot about the bear man. He looks fucking gross.
Barely. But
I do think there's some interesting dialogue there, like the exploration of like other like more rare races because they're all fucking wiped out, and their interactions with dwarves. Like there's some interesting stuff there. I just don't think it's not anything special. It's just like, this is super surface level. This is like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Gandalf runs off to go find the Witch King or whatever.
The Necromancer.
The Necromancer, who turns out to be, spoiler, Sauron. Yeah, but in general, I think this movie's really bad.
I don't know if I'd say it's really bad, but it's really not good.
Fair. That's fair. Yeah, I'm just like trying to rack my brain. It's like, it's so funny. Lord of the Rings, we're just talking about every scene. I'm like, this is so cool. But it's just like watching these movies, like, cool. There's Azog the Defiler, and he's running away.
I feel like this will be most prevalent in the next one, but like when watching Lord of the Rings, the action scenes are pretty good, but there's a lot of those big battle scenes are just kind of like, it's mind-numbing action. There's not really like a whole lot of stimulation going on after a certain point of just like straight action. And I feel like that's all these movies are, is like basically just like them trying to shoehorn in these action scenes where they don't naturally go.
But I mean, I really like the action scenes in Lord of the Rings because they're interspliced with like character moments.
No, that's exactly what I was saying.
So I don't think it ever gets to the point where it's like mind-numbing action.
No, yeah. I meant these are mind-numbing.
Oh yeah,
Lord of the Rings, it had the
But it also, a lot of it is done practically, or it's like lit well, or the CG's good. And this is just literally, I'm like, this looks like a PS2 game. Looks like an early Xbox 360. Like
looks like The Hobbit for PS2.
Like that game at least has some fun like visuals that are more in line with like the 70s animated movie. Like they at least make sense. It's just all it just looks generic, and that's the worst thing for like a Middle-earth movie, because for being like this big fantasy thing, it does feel pretty unique. Like Middle-earth feels so great to live in, like to experience a story in, and these don't even really feel like Middle-earth. It just feels like, oh, did the writer of Aragon write this?
All right, let me ask you the real hard-hitting question. You can either watch all 3 of these movies extended again, or you can watch the Rankin and Bass Hobbit the same amount of times added up that would like equal the runtime of this trilogy. Which path do you take?
So I'd have to watch 9 hours of the Rankin and Bass Hobbit.
Yes.
So I'd have to watch it like 8 times.
Yes.
I'd still pick that one.
Yeah, I think I would too, honestly. After this, I don't know if I'll ever watch these movies again.
Yeah.
Because, like, my copy of the 3rd Blu-ray, it must have had, like, a manufacturer thing go wrong with it, but there's a couple points where it skips. Like, just brand new out of the fucking package. I was like, what the fuck? And for a split second, I was like, well, I guess I'm going to have to order a replacement. And I was like, wait.
No, I don't.
No, I won't. In fact, I might just donate this entire set to the Goodwill and move on with my life and keep my Lord of the Rings set. Because, like, yeah, I don't get anything out of these movies aside from, like, 1 or 2 scenes. If I want to, like, go through The Hobbit, I'll read the book. I'd probably do it in less time, too. In fact, I'd say most assuredly.
Yeah, I don't know if I... Yeah, I think you'd give this movie a
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that you would give it... I give it 2.
I'm also at a 3.
Okay.
But remember, half of it I was drunk, so maybe it'd be a 2 next time.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Battle of 5 Armies. The extended cut is 2 hours and 46 minutes long.
I remember looking at the runtime and going like, oh, thank God it's not 3.
Yeah.
It's close, but it's not quite.
I'm like, oh, this will be a breeze. This movie, like, actively makes me angry because it's so creatively bankrupt. Like, nothing in it is anything of value, like, creatively wise. It's fucking awful through and through. Yeah. There are, like, isolated scenes here and there that I'm like, this would be so good in a better movie. Like, Thorne and Bilbo's whole thing, I do think is an interesting aspect of the movie. Mm-hmm. Their final, like, moments are, I think, really good, but it's so soured by everything else in this movie being just complete horseshit that it's just like, cool, sad.
Yeah. Yeah, this fucking movie just is not good. They stretch out like 3 chapters worth of content into a whole fucking movie. And by 3 chapters of content, I mean like the whole movie, like including the stuff leading up to the Battle of the 5 Armies and the epilogue stuff. Like it's all like very small. And it's just like, and it'd be one thing if they were like, okay, so the last movie literally like leaves you edging because it's like
then Smaug
2 seconds away,
15 minutes.
Yeah, and it's just like, why would you guys do that? Obviously, just leave cliffhanger and sell more tickets, because I guarantee if they had killed Smaug in that second movie, I'd probably say audience members who showed up to this would have like dwindled, because they'd be like, what's the point? They killed the dragon, which is exactly right. But what's the point? They killed the fucking dragon. And they stretch the epilogue out throughout the course of the whole fucking movie. And yeah, it's just like really bad. There's like forced character arcs, like the whole character arc for fucking,
Legolas?
Yeah, Legolas is just like...
Toriel? Thranduil? Alfred? Bilbo?
Legolas...
Anyone in the movie knows.
Legolas is like, he does a couple cool...
He runs on the rocks.
Yeah, he runs on rocks, and then...
That's the only thing I remembered from this movie.
Yeah, then he's like, at the end, his dad summons him, and he's like, alright, let's go. And he's like, no, she's banned. And he's like, then I'm not going back. And she's basically like, no, go back. And he's like, I'm going back, I guess. And he talks to his dad, and his dad's like, go find Aragorn, who is like a baby at this point.
Yeah, Legolas says he's not going back with his dad. He's like, I'm not going back. He's like, fine, where will you go? And he's like, I don't know. And he's like, go see... No, Aragorn was 28.
Okay. He's still very young.
Yeah, I'm like, there's a guy named Strider. I'm like, how does he already have a name for himself up there?
Right?
Like, was he just Strider for 60 years? I thought that was like, oh, he left Rivendell like kind of late, and he did some other stuff, and then he became Strider. I'm like, he was just running around for 60 years, which also doesn't... There's a lot of things in these movies that don't make sense for the timeline, and don't like Gandalf shouldn't know like so much about, I feel like, the One Ring. Yeah. Because he is confused in the first Lord of the Rings movies and has to go research it. But in this, he's just like...
And he knows Bilbo has the magic ring, and he doesn't even fucking question it. He's just like, just don't.
Yeah, and he has an elven ring. Like, I get it. Yeah, there's just rings. Yeah, people have rings. Like, he has a magic ring.
I know, but you think with, like, the Ring of Power, he'd be, like, becoming relevant again. He'd be like, maybe I should just check to be sure.
Literally.
But no, he doesn't. He's just like, be careful. And Bilbo's like, no, I dropped it at the battle.
And then right around this time, Aragorn, I feel like is supposed to be fighting with the guy from Rohan.
Yeah.
And because they talk about that in Two Towers. I'm like, why is he up north then? What's he doing? Because Edoras is in the south.
Yeah, because I think, Bilbo's in his 40s in this movie, they say?
He should be... I mean, this is 60 years earlier, so he should be 51.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, it's just like... Yeah. Yeah, goddamn. But, then what's the name of the elf that likes Keely?
Toriel.
Yeah.
Played by Evangeline Lilly.
Toriel.
Classic anti-vax lady.
Is she? Yeah, Toriel. Anyway.
I was saying, when we were watching the Lord of the Rings movies, somebody was like, is that Evangeline Lilly? Like, is that because they said, is that the Wasp? And I'm like, no, that they were talking about Arwen. I'm like, no, that's Liv Tyler. And I'm like, I think Liv Tyler should just be the Wasp, though, because I don't want to see Evangeline Lilly because she's not a very good person. And I'm like, we should just replace Evangeline Lilly with Arwen. And then we watch these movies. I'm like, hey, it's the Wasp. I'm like, yeah, that tracks.
Yep.
He plays the much inferior elf. I don't even mind, like, Toriel as an idea. I'm like, yes, Lord of the Rings and Middle-earth has very little women in it. I'm like, I was fine with adding a woman, but I'm just like...
Yeah, but to have her main crux mostly be just a love triangle is just like... Which apparently that was all reshoots. So, because apparently when she signed on to the project, she's like, no love triangles. And they're like, yeah. And then, like, after she shot most of her stuff, they were like... So the producers were talking and they want to do some reshoots and some love scenes. She's like, God damn it, no! But there it was. So yeah, fucking, what's it called? Yeah, her arc is that she's like, I like this Keely guy because he gave me a rock in the last movie and he seemed kind of nice. And we both agree that stars are distant memories. You know, that real deep connection. And then fucking, yeah, but she's basically, she like spends the first part of the movie, like, he gets stabbed by a poison arrow and they're like leaving the wood elf area. And then, so she's like mending him of that at the beginning of this. And then,
Smaug shows up and kills like Hobbit.
Or I guess that would be the end of the second one where she's doing that.
Yeah. So then Smaug shows up, they kill everyone, and she's like, we gotta go to, Legolas is like, I'm going to Gundabad. And they go to Gundabad, and they immediately leave because they're all leaving from Gundabad. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm like, that was a waste of fucking time.
Yeah. And then, so she basically is in this love triangle with him and Legolas, and then Keely dies, and then...
Keely dies, then Keely dies.
Yes.
Then Thorin dies.
I forgot to mention the crux of her arc. There's one scene where the Elf King tells her, he's like, what you have with that dwarf, it is not real. And then his character arc, he comes back later after Keely dies, and she's like,
why does it hurt so much?
And he's also crying. He's just like, because it was real. And it's just like, character progression.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't mind, like I legitimately don't mind that arc for them, like, the
maybe
love
if it were
thing.
a tad more fleshed out. It literally comes out of nowhere.
Like, the idea of it I'm fine with. Thranduil in general is just the fucking worst. I'm like, I don't want to see him get him out of the movie. He's kind of hot, but...
Yeah. But... Yeah, and then Thorin dies, and
Alfred dies.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Alfred. That guy's the worst. And then they just kept making him show up in scenes. I'm like, why? What is the point? Why don't you let the villagers hang him?
I like his death scene, though. I will. That's another scene.
When he pops into the
he's in the catapult, and then he just...
Why was he in there? Why was he hiding there?
Because he's a dumbass, I guess, and has absolutely zero sense.
But he drops one coin, and that's enough to...
Yeah, that part of it's stupid. Maybe if he had dropped, like, an entire breast of coin onto it, but he literally just drops one coin, and it, like, it doesn't do anything at first. It's got to spin, and then it lands on one side, and then just suddenly, bam! It's just like... So, yeah, that catapults him into, like, a big troll's mouth, and the troll chokes on him, and then, like, slams his legs into the ground, and he dies. And it's like... I like that part. I like the concept of that. I think it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But yeah. So the Battle of Five Armies happens. Bilbo takes the Harkenstone and gives it to the Elf King. And he's just basically like, yeah, I like Thorin, but he's being kind of a douchebag right now. So
he's also like, I don't fucking want everyone to kill each other, so just like be like, hey, you can have this for my stuff back, because all the elves want are their precious gems. Mm-hmm. And Thorin's like, I'm mine, because he's now having the dragon disease or whatever they call it, dragon sickness, where he's hoarding all his money, which he eventually just gets out of because Dwalin says something, and Bilbo says something.
Yeah.
I think it's so weird because I think that this movie's so aggressively long and poorly paced and like nothing happens. But then the thing's like, oh, Thorin, you're being a dick. And then the next scene he's like, I'm better now.
Yeah, it's like you could have like stretched that out.
Yeah, and they're like, why didn't you stretch that part out? Instead you have an hour and a half of a bad fight scene. The dwarves and the elves fight briefly when the dwarf army led by Dane shows up. I do like their weird spinny things.
Yeah. And then, yeah, basically that happens, and then, oh no, orc army in the distance.
So they all team up.
Yep.
And then another orc army shows up. And then the eagles show up.
And then the people who die. And
then, those three die. Just those three.
Yeah, and then, basically, yeah. So then, Thorin's cousin becomes the king of the mountain.
King of the mountain, yeah.
And they have a funeral, and then Bilbo leaves, and he's like, well...
Tell everyone I say bye.
And then they're all there, and he's like, well, you're all invited to tea.
Yeah. I think that scene's good.
Yeah,
I think that's cute, and it's also, like, sad. It's, like, bittersweet.
I almost wonder if, like, Peter Jackson, like, walked away from the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and he's like, I'm not gonna have the same, like gay slander that my Lord of the Rings trilogy had. So there's not gonna be, like, overly affectionate friendships in these movies. So he was just like, I'll just invite them to tea.
Which is funny because he also made Thorin and Bilbo the gayest couple in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but...
like, he's literally like, he was mine. And then he just walks away. It was like, what?
Yeah, to be fair, that happens in the book, too.
I feel like they're gay in the book. They just try to get away from it in the animated movie by making Thorin really old.
True.
Because Rankin and Bass, I feel like we're probably homophobic.
Yeah,
they were old people
probably.
in the 70s.
Yeah, probably. But maybe we're just making assumptions. Who knows? I'm sure
maybe they were gay for each other.
Probably. They spent... If they did all
if
that
you
stuff
start a
themselves.
studio, like if we started a studio called like Hetty and Griffin, we'd be fucked.
Yeah, probably. In a dark room.
We already run a podcast. That's like one of the gayest things you can do with another person.
True. But yeah, so this movie's 2 hours and 48 minutes.
Yeah, it has so here's the things I like. I think that Thorin and Bilbo have some good parts to their relationship in that. I like the final, like, tease it for, like, I'm like, it's good, it's nice, bittersweet. I like his Return of the Shire. Specifically, I like one shot, and that's the shot where he opens his hobbit hole, and everything's gone, and he looks, like, distraught. Yeah, and stuff. Like, I think that shot's good.
I'd say I generally like that epilogue portion where, like, Gandalf walks him back, and then he goes back and sees, like, all of his shit's gone, and then it leads into, like, the first film, and it's like I generally like that ending. Like that works. It doesn't feel stretched out at all. It feels very in tune with what the book presented. So it's just like, yeah, cool, great.
And I like that one line that I talked about earlier between Beaufort and Bilbo.
No, yeah.
But in general, like, I think this movie's just, like, complete garbage. And it's really sad to say because there are so many talented people that are in this movie or that are directing this movie that are tied to this movie, but it's just like a failure on every aspect. It's just painful to watch. It's ugly. It's poorly paced. None of the characters have satisfying conclusions. And it's like, cool, you're following the book. Maybe if you're going to add some stuff, maybe add some character moments in any of these three. It's just really, really rough.
Yes. You would give this one a 1.
What? I think you're sitting at a 2.
Yeah, I'd probably say a 2. Well, you know what they say. 1 ring to rule them all.
And it's like, I had so much goodwill. I'm like, maybe I'll like these. Maybe they're camp. Maybe they're fun. And it's just like, no, they're not. And I don't even think like a recut would fix most of it because a lot of it is also, the movie's just ugly. Like, it's just not fun to watch.
Yeah, it's like...
And those, like...
It's like if you took the color palette from Mordor, but you didn't have any of like the cool like volcanic lights that complemented it. So it's just like this ugly, like gross under palette that they don't have anything to complement or juxtapose to. And it's just like real gross looking, the whole movie. It's just very gray and dark. Yeah. And it's just like,
and it's like you can make gray and dark look interesting, and I understand it. Like, oh, the Lonely Mountain, like it's supposed to be a sorrowful place, but it's just like it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's like when you shoot a color film, but you like do nothing to do like add any color at all, and it's like not stylistically dark. Like the Batman, for example, since I just saw that, that's a great movie. That's dark, like tonally and visually. That movie fucking rocks.
And I think another reason that it doesn't work is like they all feel like incredibly fake places. Like a lot of the Lord of the Rings, they feel, even Mordor, like feels real. It feels grounded. It feels like there's a place of evil, but like they're there. That's really happening. I could never get it out of my mind that it's just like these are people in front of a green screen or these are people in a field. Like it never felt real.
Yeah, big CGI mountains all around.
And it's weird because, like, I actually don't mind CG, like, at all. And I don't mind bad CG either.
Typically,
like,
no.
Bad CG I'm fine with if it's, like, done creatively. Like, I watch a lot of, like foreign films that are just, like, fucking CG fests, but they're, like, big and bombastic, and they're doing interesting things with the CG that you couldn't do with real life. And I'm like, this is fine. This is fun. I'm, like, having a good time. But in this, it's just, like, it's so overused for things that just don't matter. Like, there are scenes where they're just running in the woods in these movies. I'm like, they're not real at this point. Like, these are just CG models running. I'm like, why are they doing this?
Saves them shooting time, I guess.
I guess, but I'm like, at the end of the day, does it save them money? Because, like...
Probably, because they pay fucking 3D animators fucking dirt wage.
That's true. But it's...
Compared to, like, paying, like, Martin Freeman, like, what, $1 million per day? I don't know what his actual fucking wages were, but you get the point that I'm trying to make.
Yeah, it just hurts. It hurt to watch this movie.
Yeah, this movie is like, you know when you're a kid and the world seems magical and then you grow up and you, like, realize how everything works and you're just like, wow, this fucking sucks. It's a very good, like... analogy for fucking The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings trilogies.
And it's... Lord of the Rings Return of the King is such a high to end on, too. Because it's like, oh, this is just, like, the greatest experience ever. Like, this is, like, the best ending you'll ever see. This is, like, Battle of Five Armies. And like, oh, do you want to hate yourself for the rest of your life? And, you know, like, yeah. I feel like most of the people I watched it with Pierre, I watched it with Hinata, I watched it with Joe. Hinata really liked this one. You know, that's fine.
More power to her.
Yeah, I'm sure Pierre probably thought it was fun. And I don't know where Joe's going to end up on this spectrum, but I just couldn't do it. I tried so hard. I'm like, what do I like about this? I'm like, nothing.
Yeah,
I was like, do I like these designs of the creatures with the spikes in their eyelids? No.
Honestly,
I think they look gross, but not in a fun way.
I had a moment of like sheer anxiety when I finished the movie because like this happens like rarely sometimes with some movies. Like I won't like get fully like tuned into it because like I can't get into it, and then I'll like watch it, but then I'll like when it's over, I won't feel like I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's just like a lot of gaps because I wasn't super invested. And I had that hard with this movie. And I was like, am I going to have to rewatch this? And I was like, wait, no, just nothing fucking happened in this goddamn movie. So I was just like, oh,
man. Billy Boyd also sings a song for the credits of this one. Which I remember when this movie came out, I loved that song. So I did listen to that. Because I think that's like the only thing I like about this movie is I really like the song he does. Yeah, what are we watching next week? You got a deep dive, right? Did you pick something or did you forget?
No, I've got something in mind. I was bouncing back and forth between 3 things, but I think I've settled on one.
Is it something good? It doesn't have to be.
I don't...
No. It's going to be a no. Okay, that's fine.
Hold on. Do you have a coin or something? I'm going to leave it up to probability.
I think I have a dime in my pocket.
That'll work.
Oh, I have a nickel.
Okay, what are we watching next week? Heads. I'm going to pick 5 One Piece movies. Tails. I'm going to pick the old 4... live-action Batman movies. So the Burton and Schumachers.
So none of them are going to be bad.
Wow. What did I say? Tails for Batman? Yeah,
I think so.
It's heads.
Watching One Piece.
Watching One Piece. Okay, so I guess the 5 we'll watch. We will watch Film Z, Film Gold. Stampede, 3D 2Y, which is technically a special, and fuck it. I guess we can watch Strong World.
We didn't watch any of these yet.
No, we watched for the old ones. We watched the old wave of movies, and only like a handful of them.
Z, Strong World. One Piece 3D.
2Y.
3D 2Y Overcome Ace's Death. That one?
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Yeah, and then fucking Gold
Stampede and Gold. Okay.
Actually, I'm going to have kind of a long week. I'm going to toss Strong World, and we're just going to watch 4.
Okay. Fuck you, Strong. You don't like that one.
I like Strong World. It's just kind of... It's kind of a basic bitch. Like, it's really just kind of them trying out the One Piece formula in, like, a big blockbuster animation type way.
Oh, yeah, Z I've already seen.
Yeah, Z's a good one. Minus that one really weird plot thread.
But it has the Nickelback song.
Yeah, it's got the Nickelback song, sung by Avril Lavigne. Yeah. Z and Gold are my 2 favorites. I don't like Stampede, but it has one really awesome moment in it that I think...
Are you sure you don't like it? Because this review from you on October 30th, 2019 says flashy and fun.
Yeah, that was when I first saw it, though. And yeah, flashy is definitely how I would describe that movie, because it is...
But Gold's pretty good, right?
Gold is my favorite. So, I think Z catches, like, the more serious side that I like of One Piece, but, like, Gold catches, like, the fun, zany side. It's like a heist that the Straw Hats get into, and it's, like, a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I really like that one. And then, yeah, 3D2Y is a special that takes place in between the time skip. It shows, like, Luffy and a little misadventure he gets into while training on Amazon Lily. So, yeah, I think that one's pretty good too. I quite like that one. But yeah, so we're gonna be watching those 4 One Piece movies.
I did finally change. I went through this morning and changed the list on Letterboxd to be the other way. So
I was
so fucking tired of seeing My Girl.
Yeah.
And then the beginning of it, I'm like, yeah, Return of the King. And now it's immediately going to be like, it's One Piece.
Yeah. Well, One Piece is good.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, for watching. Sorry we're pretty fucking negative on these movies. We feel like we were haters. And that's what we are. If you like these movies, more power to you. We're not hating on you. I just despise these movies.
Yeah.
The first one's okay.
He's not being like prequel biased because he really likes the Star Wars prequels.
Yeah.
And I moderately like them.
I really like the Star Wars prequels.
But yes, so we'll do a Star Wars episode eventually.
We're gonna have to. Like, that'll just be like 3 months though. We'll do like each trilogy is one episode. We'll do like, I don't know. There are a bunch of Clone Wars arcs that I'm like, we should just watch these as like the Umbara arc is just a movie.
I thought about doing that with One Piece arcs too. Like, this week we're gonna watch the Baratie arc.
Yeah, but I've already read that.
Well, I already watched the Clone Wars minus the final season. So,
well, there we go. Watch the final season.
I would not be mad at that. Although I do have to read that book in the mall. I don't have to, but I'd like to.
Which book?
The Dark Disciple. And
Dark Disciple's so it starts off a little rough, but it's so good.
Yeah, I gotta read that, and then I gotta fucking read the Darth Maul comic miniseries that takes place in there too. Honestly, I would not be mad if we ended up rewatching the Darth Maul arcs from Clone Wars, because
they're so good.
I kind of want to rewatch at least those before I get into the Dark Disciple stuff. I remember what happens, but it'd be nice to have like the refresher. And honestly, that last episode that I saw with that was so fucking hype.
I forgot. After we finished Battle of Five Armies yesterday, me, Pierre, and Joe watched the first episode of the Halo show, because that launched.
Oh yeah, I heard not good things.
I actually thought it was kind of okay.
Okay.
I was like going into it being like, this is gonna be garbage.
Isn't there like a Hummer or something?
It does. It's not actually in the episode. I think that was just an edit, like a mistake they forgot to take out of the trailer.
No.
But it was really funny as they tweeted. There was something like a tweet going around afterward that was like, oh, you guys are gonna look fucking stupid when you realize the plot relevancy of the Chevy Tahoe. But in general, like, some of the effects look kind of bad. I don't know how I feel about the person playing, like, Mr. Halo. Mm-hmm. But, like, it's fine. Like, it's better than I expected. Like, it looks like a high-budget, like, Sci-Fi Channel show, like, movie, but... This doesn't look terrible. I'm like, this is fine, which was surprising. Or maybe it was just because it was better than Battle of Five Armies, and I'm like, this was okay. But I will watch episode 2 and let you know.
Okay, cool.
All right, thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you next week, where we talk about some goddamn One Piece.
Safe adventures.